But in this case, I want to create this ramp, moving it inside. Now you can see the collision that is generated. Let's extend it so it connects these two. A slowly movement from one point to another. The NPC tries on the bottom, but it doesn't work, so now it's trying through the top. What happens when the world changes under your AI's feet? In the last episodes, we gave our NPC the ability to move. We gave it an intention, we gave it a target. But today, we changed the rules of the environment itself. In this episode, we are going to model a brand new level directly inside Unreal using the modeling tools, one of my favorites. We'll prepare and refine collision properly so our character and navigational system behave exactly the way we expect. Then we're adding something powerful, a movable bridge between a stair and a block where our NPC's target lives. And because this element can move, we're stepping into Dynamic NavMesh generation. This is where AI stops being static. Your NPC will be able to evaluate different routes and choose the most efficient path available, depending on how the world changes around it. That's a real decision making. This is the Game Creator Accelerator, and I am Tony Munoz. Like, subscribe, comment, share, and ring the bell so you don't miss future Unreal Engine AI tutorials. Follow our full creation of Mad Gameverse, our new third-person shooter built entirely here on this channel, and also learn the mindset, strategies, and methodology to transform yourself into a game developer, even after office hours. Because not all is about coding, but here we covered everything. And if you're serious about transitioning into game dev one step at a time, don't forget to take my free training at woolion.com/free training. Now let's build a world that forces AI to make decisions. Let's start by creating a new level. So go to Games, and first let me add a new folder for levels. Open the level folder, and now go to File, New Level, pick the basic, and create. Now here I want to make some changes for this basic level. First, select the floor and remove it. Now in selection mode, we're going to use a different tool, a very cool tool if you ask me, which is the modeling tool. Inside the modeling tool, select Create and Cube Grid. This will allow you to select an area that you want to work with. So let's say that my area will be something like this. Probably this size is very good. Now I can pull this structure out of this by using the pull or using also the key E. Now let's add on the sides some walls. So I just have to select this side and let's use E 3 times. Do the same thing. In fact, I'm going to extend just a little bit this side, maybe a couple of times. Excellent. And now on the top, selecting it, and again, E 3 times. And for the back, another 3 times. Awesome. Now, here I'm going to add a small box. Let's say something that could be 4 blocks, like here. Awesome. And let's extend it up twice. Now I'm going to also extend this section. I need a little bit more space. I love this tool because as you can see, we can change this structure that then will become a mesh very quick. And now I want to create another block, let's say here, and I want this block to be 500 by 500. Excellent. Extrude again with E a couple of times. And again, I'm going to expand this section on a little bit more of space. And now let's go to this side because I want to create a ramp. So select this side and click the option or the button that says corner mode. This will allow me to use the corner that I previously selected. Click on this one, and then use Q. So we can move the, let's say, the corners inside. You can move it outside using E, but in this case, I want to create this ramp, moving it inside. So this is looking the way I want. Once you have the structure as you want it, or the mesh as you want it, just click Done. and then accept. Now you have your static mesh here, and you can also find your static mesh inside your project in a folder that they generated, the modeling mode generated automatically. Nevertheless, now we have another problem. Let's play with our player starter, or where the player is going to start. Let's say that it is on this position or something close to the center. Let's say something like this. If we try it and play, there is no collision, which is, well, a major problem for a video game like this one. So let's solve this issue first. In fact, I want to show you something even before solving that problem. If we go to the selection mode and let's say we add an actor for the navigational mesh. So let's go, we move here to the left and select NavMesh Bounds Volume, and we place it here. You can see that the navigational mesh is not generating anything. It's like this is transparent. And it's because the same problem, because the collision hasn't been defined. Now we're going to solve this. Go to the mesh that you already created and open it. Let's move here to one side. Here is your mesh. In the details, look for collision and comp. It will help you. Fantastic. We're going to use the collision complexity. Click this arrow and select Use Complex Collision as Simple, and then Apply. Now you can see the collision that is generated. We can save, go back to our project, and immediately the navigational mesh start to work. And if we play our game, now our character is colliding with the surfaces, which is exactly what we wanted. Cool. Now let's extend this navigational mesh to cover, let's say, this area. Let me move it a bit to the center. I think it will be someplace like here. Excellent. And now let's move it up as well. So extend it to the top or someplace like here. Now let's add our NPC that we created previously. Let's drag it into the scene. And of course, now we need to set a goal for this NPC. Let me move it a bit to the back. Yeah, someplace like here. And I'm going to use the same object we previously used. So first I'm going to save this level. Let's name it level 1. And because I don't remember exactly the name of that element, let's go to third-person blueprints, and this is the default level. Okay, this is the one I want. SM sphere. Yeah, in fact, I'm going to copy, go back to my level, and let's paste it here. But I want it to be over this section. So let's go here and here. Fantastic. Oh, not exactly, but it's just about to be. Okay, let's see. This is the center. Excellent. And now for my character, I need to define what is going to be, for the NPC, what is going to be its goal, the target object. Remember that in the previous lesson, we set this variable, which is named target, for that actor, for the NPC. So we can look for here, target, use this tool, and pick the sphere. And if we play our game, you can see that the actor is trying to reach to the sphere, and it's going to reach until something around this point, which is very good. But now let's make a little change. Let's say that I'm going to add a couple more factors that won't allow this NPC to move until the end. Click on Place Actors, select the geometries, and let's add a couple of boxes. One here, let me extend it a little bit, something like that. And now let's create a copy of this one with Alt and click in. Let's move it to this point. And now this NPC won't be able to move from the bottom, so it has to take this option. Let's play it. There you see. But it can reach until this point because, well, the navigational mesh ends here. This is an interesting situation because there will be sometimes changes on your level that will allow the NPCs do one thing or another, which takes us to the next element or the next part of this video. Now I want to add a moving platform that will connect these two. So first, let's start by going to Place Actors, select Shapes, and let's pick a cube. Let's move the cube up. And now let's drag it onto this section because what I want is connect these two. Let me go here. Excellent. And let's play a little bit with the scale. Let's extend it so it connects these two. Awesome. And I also want to, let's expand it a little bit here. Great. And let's change the position someplace around here. And let's go a bit to the bottom. Go. Oh, fantastic. This is looking amazing. As you can see, because we're allowing to generate a mesh when we complete this section, well, now we have an entire bridge. Let me change this snapping to 100. If I move this down 100, then this is broken. And if the NPC try to get here, well, it'll stop. But if we move it like this, it could continue until the end. So the first mechanic I want to create is the moving platform. I want this to, it would be like a bridge that is moving up and down. Let me take a moment of your time. This channel exists because I do not want you to spend years trying to figure out what I learned the hard way. It took me 3 full years of dedication to truly understand what it takes to build a path in game development. Be shocking because it wasn't coding. Yes, here we show how to use Unreal Engine. Don't get me wrong, you need it, but that's only half of the equation. You require a clear methodology to transition into the gaming industry, even more if you don't have time to waste while having another job or responsibilities. That is why I created the Game Creator Accelerator Mentorship. Today, my students are learning Unreal in a structured way to create their dream games and studios while also sharing their progress publicly, building visibility, growing audiences, and improving week after week with the support of our community and one-on-one mentorship from me. If you're serious about changing your path, I invite you to take my free training at woolen.com/free training. In there, I explain what you can start doing today to move forward with clarity. And if you want to speak directly with me to understand where you are, where you want to go, and what challenges are holding you back, I am happy to guide you. Visit woolen.com and take the first step. Your future in game development begins the moment you decide to build it. And that moment can be right now. First, I gotta do several things. Be sure that you selected this cube, which is this bridge, and let's rename it Movable Platform. Easy to locate. And in mobility, set it to movable, because we're going to move it. And now, to make the animation or the movement of this new actor, I want to transform it into a blueprint. So click this button here. We're going to be inside actor as a static mesh actor, and let's change the folder. Let's save it on a folder named Assets. Select the folder, and the name for this blueprint will be the same name, but finishing with BP. Select. This is our blueprint, and as you can see, it's pretty simple. Now I want to add several variables that will help me make this movement or this kind of animation of movement. Click on Add to add a variable, and let's call this one Start Location. As you can imagine, this will be the position where this actor is going to start, and the type will be a vector, because to place it in 3D, we need this vector. Let's add another variable, which will be the End Location, which also is a vector because it will be the location or the destined location, the final location. And we're going to start moving or lerping between these two positions. But the difference between these two positions will be in set. And for that, I am going to add a new variable that will be named movement offset in set. Different to the other two, this one will be float. In the case of the movement offset, though, I also want to define it as instance editable, so I can set the value directly on the map whenever I'm going to use this blueprint. Now let's go to the event graph to set everything. Let's move the event begin play here, and we're going to start by setting the start location. You can drag the variable inside the event graph and select Set Start Location, or you can keep the Alt key down, drag it inside the map, and immediately transform into a set. The event begin play will be connected to this set. And now we use right-click to look for the actor location. Whatever location is going to be as soon as this game starts, when the event begin play happens. And connect this one to the start location. We set now the start location. Let's go to the end location. Connect it here after the start location. And because we are going to move only on set, we can split this vector by right-clicking and selecting Split Structure, the end location, doing the same, Split Structure, and this actor won't move in X or Y. So we're just passing the same value to the to the end location. But the set is going to be changed. How much? Well, the movement offset value. I can also use Control and drag it, and immediately I have the getting option for this variable. From the pin, drag and look for addition and pick the operators. I'm going to change the order of this, so I'm going to connect this one here and the set that is coming from the start location to this addition. And the output pin will be connected to the end location. Now we have set the start location and the end location. The next step is to define a timeline where we're going to establish how we're going to move between these two positions in time. From the second set, drag a wire and look for timeline. In fact, you can pick the add timeline. You can also find it like add timeline. This one here. Enter. Doesn't matter what name we're going to add. What is important is what we're going to do in this timeline. So double click to open it. Now you have the timeline open in here, and you can go back to the event graph here. In the timeline, click on track and select add float track. It is a standard that we don't call this new track. Usually developers in Unreal use alpha. It doesn't have to be alpha, but it is like an agreement between developers. I want to define 3 different keys that will help me to set the points of movement. Let me explain it quickly with actions. Right-click and select Add Key Curve Float 0. Now you have this point, which is like blue point. I want to set it first on 0 and then on 0 for Y. The length for this timeline is at this moment 5 seconds. I want to move it a little bit more to 10 seconds. Right-click again and look for creating a new key. In this case, this key will be in the second 5 and the value will be 1. Now you see that this is extending out of our screen here. You can use these 2 buttons to adjust so you can see the entire area. And right-click and drag to move to other section. I need this because I want to add another key. This key will be in the second 10 and the value will be 0. Again, click here and here. Well, I don't see the entire section. I think it's because I haven't selected all the points. Let me see now. Perfect. Now I have them all. But I don't want this movement to be at constant speed, which will be this case. I want to be soft. For that, right-click one of these points and select Auto. Now you see that the speed will be a slowly movement from one point to another. And because I want to repeat this cycle, also click this button, the loop button. Let's save for the moment and go back to the event graph. Now we're going to add linear interpolation between the start location and the end location. Right-click over the event graph and look for Lerp vector and drag again the values of get from start location, which we will connect to A, and end location, which we will connect to B. And the alpha for this linear interpolation, imagine which one will be this. So connect the alpha from the timeline to the linear interpolation or to the Lerp. Let me move to another better position. This always had to look great. And finally, we're going to set the new actor location. So from the update on the timeline, drag a wire and look for set actor location. Pick this one. And now connect the new location with the return value from the Lerp. Let's compile and test. Let's play. Oh, this is not moving, but it is a good reason why this is not moving. Let's go back to the Movable platform. And remember that we set this value of movement offset. Yeah, well, we set it to 0. So let's change this value to 100. Compile, save, level. In fact, if you go to the Movable platform and look for the movement offset now, it is 100, and you can also change it here. So depending on where you're going to use this blueprint, you can play with this value as you wish. Let's test this. Now you see that now you see that our platform is moving, but there are some things that we have to fix first. The first thing is that this platform, I don't want you to be at this point at the beginning. I want it to be at the bottom. So let's move in 100 down. As you can see now, the bridge that is generated by the navigational mesh is broken. And if we try to play the game, well, the character or the NPC will reach to this point and then stops, because there's nothing connecting these two. Let's fix that now. In the previous lesson, we mentioned this actor, which is the Recast Nav Mesh default. And this is the one that is in charge of regenerating the nav mesh. Inside this actor, you have a parameter called runtime generation. By default, the value is static. And the reason is because NavMesh generation is expensive as computational process. So you want to generate the mesh before starting the game. The problem with this scenario is that if we generate the mesh right now and this platform moves to the top, even though it seems like the NPC should be able to move, it won't, because the nav mesh was already generated. So for this example, what we're going to do is to pick the runtime generation instead of static to dynamic. Now see what happens when we run the game. The platform is starting to move, and when this block or this bridge is moving, the nav mesh generates again a new path for the NPC. Nevertheless, even when we reach the point and this is connected now, the NPC is not moving through. So let's fix that. Now we'll open our character, which is this Chimera, which is a fantastic character, by the way, I love it. And as you remember from the previous lesson, what we did is set this NPC so it moves to a specific location, to another actor. But this is set on event begin play, and the path is set from the beginning. The problem is that our path is changing now, and we need to check consistently what are the changes of this path so we can use it or not. Instead of connecting the move actor to the event begin play, let's disconnect with Alt and click and move it here. And now let's take the event tick, move it to the top, and this is the one that we're going to connect. Keep in mind though that this is an expensive calculation, but we're going to use it for this prototype. And because I don't want to kill this event tick, one thing you could do is look for the tick interval, and instead of set it to 0.00, let's set it to 0.0, maybe 25. Now let's compile and save and test it. Oh, I don't want to test it with this one. Let me go to the other, which is this button. Okay, the path is generated, and now the NPC can reach the target. Again, remember that this is computational expensive, but I want to show you how NavMesh can be regenerated using the Recast Nav Mesh. And the awesome part about this mechanic is that, well, the NPC can take different routes depending on its possibilities. For example, look at this. I'm going to remove one of these blocks for a second. And now let's play it so you can see what will happen. The NPC tries on the bottom, but it doesn't work. So now it's trying through the top, because now it has a bridge. And that is the shorter distance to the destination, to the target. Now imagine the potential that this implies for you when working with NPCs. To date, we did more than just place meshes in the level. We designed an environment with purpose. We modeled a new space directly inside Unreal. We set the collision for our new level so our character and NPC agent properly recognize the environment. We introduced a movable bridge that physically changes the layout of the world. And because of that single design choice, we stepped into Dynamic NavMesh generation. Now our NPC is no longer reacting to a static map. It is evaluating options. It is recalculating paths. It is adapting to change. This is a huge shift. Because real AI in games is not about making something move. It is about creating systems that respond intelligently when the world changes. And this is just a beginning. In the next episode, we're going deeper. We will start influencing navigation using queries. Now help me support this channel. Like, subscribe, comment, share, and ring the bell to get ready for the next episode in this series. And remember to take my free training at woolen.com/free training if you are serious about transitioning into the gaming industry step by step, even after office hours. And finally, I want to personally invite you to watch my next video, How to Hack the Gaming Industry. Do not miss it. And until next time, keep creating, keep sharing, and most importantly, keep dreaming big. I'll see you soon, my fellow creators.